Welcome to Chasing a Murder Talking News. My name is Debbie. I want to ask you guys to please kindly subscribe, hit that like button, and hit the notification bell if you'd like notifications. We're on part 8 of the series attached to Lori Vallow case, Life Beyond the Grave. And I picked that name because a lot of this is based on the afterlife and multiple probations. We left off with the fact that Lori had got married to her third husband, Joseph Ryan. And in 1998, Lori loses her older sister to diabetes. Melenie is living with her father, Mr. Cope, and he feels that he's doing the right thing for his daughter because he feels that the Cox family is a little bit off their rocker. And I really can't say other than, what we know for certain through facts, what the family is like. At least the parents of Lori Vallow. We know that Lori Vallow's father might be schizophrenic, but we don't have paperwork saying that. And remember, I'm not here to make anyone look bad. So jumping back just a little bit, it's 1999, and Chad is very close with Tammy, his wife's family. Remember, from our previous videos, we learned that Tammy's mother was actually helping them run the book company. And for some reason, Chad had I don't know what you call it, if it's an interest or a bond to Tammy's grandmother. Tammy is pregnant with Mark. Also, just a few years later, in 2001, Chad claims that Tammy's grandmother had a visit from a deceased ancestor. And this deceased ancestor communicated through Tammy's grandmother, gave her a message to give to Chad and Tammy. She wants to thank them for all the temple paperwork that they've been doing in their ancestor's name. Tammy is doing a lot of ancestry work through the temple for her ancestors for the baptism of the dead. And for those of you that are new to this, the baptism for the dead is through the LDS, where they take ancestors who have passed away, who haven't been baptized, or they feel might have not been baptized, submit their name to the church for approval to be baptized. A living relative will go into this pool in the temple and be baptized for that deceased relative. This is considered very important work to the LDS and the people who believe that they can help save past ancestors from a very dark place. There's much more involved with it, but we're not going to go into that here. And around 2001, Chad is actually working for Access Computer, which is in Provo, Utah. Around October 29th of 2001, Chad Daybell is in the newspaper again, an article written for him, Not All Is Grave for a Sexton. And we learned from earlier the part of the series, that Chad Daybell is speaking to spirits. He believes that spirits are surrounding him, especially when he's working at the cemetery. Lori is marrying this guy that is able to supply her family well financially. He seems to want to take care of them, but they're having a lot of issues. So that's around 2002. What's odd about this is it's not long after they get married that they seem to start having marital issues. Joe is very active within the LDS church, and he's trying to please her the best he can. But according to relatives, he has anger issues, and this is becoming an issue. And on June of 2003, Cheryl and Charles are divorced. There's not a lot of information I collected on 2003, but in 2004, we learned that Lori is still married to Joe Ryan. She has a young, beautiful daughter, Tylee Ryan, and her older son, Colby Ryan. We hear that she had a vision that she would be on a show called Wheel of Fortune. And a few media sources, which I apologize, I can't remember which one it was, were able to pull up some of the media or the footage of Lori on the Wheel of Fortune, because I was kind of wondering if she was ever on the show, because nobody could pull that footage up. When Lori appears on the show, she looks like everything is perfect. Life couldn't be better. I know that Sun Times or the Sun and a few other media sources, Crime Online, they were trying to get this footage, and I'm going to go ahead and add the footage of whichever media source this is. I can't remember who it is, and if I remember, I will add it, of Lori on the Wheel of Fortune. I won't be able to add like the actual video footage because I believe it's ABC and they are not very nice about it. We are told we can use small clips, but that doesn't seem to be okay with ABC. So Lori looks extremely excited in this clip. She loves being there. You can tell she's there to win big money. But the host starts to ask her questions, and at the end of one question, this is the face she has. He says, "It sounds like you have a wonderful life." After she describes that she likes to play on her 3 acres. But at the end of that huge smile, you could tell that it was hard for her to hold back, that there was something there that upset her. It was almost as if she was about to roll her eyes. Lori won $17,000 that day. And let's not forget that Lori did have, according to a few friends of hers, that she had a vision that she would be on the show before she was on it. I wish I could remember who. What's interesting is the fact that Lori seems to make her life look perfect while she's on the show. But between 2003 and 2007, Annie is asked to testify against her brother. So Annie is obviously talking to Lori about whatever's going on between the two. And Lori feels comfortable enough to ask Annie to testify for her against her own brother. I don't have the exact date that she testified, but she said that she does testify for Lori about Joe's rage. And at some interviews, Annie says that she felt that Colby was not safe with Joe. But on other days, she says something completely different. So I'm not sure what to take on this one. According to Annie, as long as Joe was smoking like weed, he would be calm. But according to Lori, this is when the accusations start to, everything starts to crumble between Joe and Lori. They are heading toward a divorce. And during that divorce, you're going to hear some abuse accusations come up, and I'll give you more details as that unfolds. Somewhere about the same time frame, February 23rd of 2004, Lori is listed on a general warranty deed for the home that she shares with Joe Ryan. And this home is located in Driftwood, Texas. And we know that Tammy and Chad are starting their book company in 2004 as well. Also in 2004, the U.S. government is suing Barry and Janice Cox, claiming that they owe more than $300,000 in back taxes. Now, Lori started off with this fantastic marriage. They got married in Hawaii, but by August 13th of 2004, I'm not certain who files divorce. There's so much information you got to collect, and I do miss some, whether it's Lori or Joe that files for the divorce. But it seems like maybe Joe might have been the one filing for it, because on this document it says that Tylee was about 18 months old when this is done. Lori's working on her 3rd husband, and this is in Hays County, Texas, that these papers are filed. And he's wanting to file for full custody of his daughter Tylee. And the problem is Lori is wanting to do the same. At this point, Joe Ryan and Lori Ryan are split up. But Lori is still in contact with Joe's sister, Annie, on a regular basis. In an interview, Annie describes that Lori, at the time Ryan, and Annie Cushion maintain a close bond, sending each other pictures of each other's children. She says they didn't speak often, but Lori felt like a lot like a sister to her. Very interesting considering what's going on during this time. Around September, this is when I kind of traced it back to, this pageant for Texas was in 2004, and Lori's going through this very devastating separation and divorce. But watching her on the stage, you wouldn't have a clue that the family was going through such devastation. The Miss Texas pageant, Lori Vallow she makes it up pretty far in this contest or pageant, and you can see that she is very comfortable with walking around in these slinky outfits. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's something I wouldn't expect somebody with this strong of faith would do attached to the LDS. The look on her face says everything is perfect, but it isn't. There's allegations that her children might be abused. She's talking to Joe's sister behind his back, asking her to testify against her own brother. Divorce papers in the works. And she's absolutely, living this incredible lie as she, is in this pageant. They ask her questions like, what makes you tick? One thing we can learn is Lori is the queen of faces, okay? She cannot hold back her emotions very well if you hit her boiling point. She's good at rolling her eyes. She's good at smirking. And this couldn't have been the most perfect question for what she was going through at the time. And here's why. Lori responds with, quote, being a good mom is very important to me, and a good wife, and a good worker. And being all those things, it's not easy. So I'm basically a ticking time bomb. And boy, did she hit that nail on the head. It was interesting because she said it was important having a family and a husband and to work, but none of these things, except for her children, are something she really is living. She's standing on that stage, pretending to be somebody she isn't, and it's easy for her. So at this pageant, she performed a line dance with the girls. She walked around in her gown, her bathing suit, and she actually made it to be the semi-finalist. Also, at the end of December of 2004, we're going to introduce another person involved with this. Well, kind of involved. She's attached to the cage by knowing Chad and Lori knowing of her. Her name is Julie Rowe. She has a near-death experience on this day, near this day, and she says she is in a hospital for 5 days, and 2 of those days she was sleeping. Julie Rowe will be a podcaster attached to the LDS before she's kind of, thrown out of there. A near-death experience, she says she has. So the day Julie claims that she left her body, she was actually visiting a different realm that was hitting here on Earth where spirits go after death. And you will hear her refer to this and many others as behind the veil. During those days, she says that she's lying there in the bed asleep. She says she visits past ancestors behind the veil, and it's there that she gets messages delivered to her, and they tell her that it isn't her time, that she will be returned to Earth. But during her visit behind the veil, where she's traveled to see this spirit world, she says she's taught many things, such as future calamities foretold by ancestor prophets, where she learns all this information and the severity of the events to come, and Julie is extremely motivated to warn others and prepare others for what's to come. This is where she gets her idea for the podcast of the future and for the future books that she will write. She shares those experiences in great details in a book called A Greater Tomorrow, which was actually published by Chad Daybell. Julie also runs a non-profit group that's concerning a little bit to me, and it's called the Greater Tomorrow Relief Fund. The funds collected for this is to use for pending calamities of the future. Just a note for those of you that follow the story, she hasn't met Chad or Lori. She doesn't know of them. And, you know, this is just the very beginning of Julie. I want to cut this video short just so that I can, you know, feel comfortable until I heal. I'm getting better, guys. But at this point, we are learning some of the characters involved with this case. And we're learning some of the background, and some of this background just isn't all that beautiful. But it is important, I think, to put this timeline in the best order I can. And like I said, I've worked constantly on this timeline. I'm still missing stuff, but I'm trying my best to get it done, because if I keep collecting the information, which I will do, but for this series, well, the series will never get out. So remember, guys, I am just sharing the facts, a little bit of my opinion, because I have been emotionally involved with this one. So some of this stuff, it's hard to hold back, you know, how you feel sometimes. Trying to be, you know, unbiased isn't always easy. I am human too. So, but don't forget, we have some girls that are still missing, like Dulce, Jasmine, and they are really not getting any new information on Jasmine. We know that they suspect or have a person that they're kind of watching for each of these cases, but they're not really filling us in on much. I want to remind you to please take the time to subscribe and like. And if you can donate, which I haven't really had time to set that kind of stuff up. For like Patreon, I'm not being able to run the Patreon. I just throw pictures up there, and I'll throw some more up here shortly that I don't make so easily available here, or documents. So, or you can give to my PayPal. So guys, I want to say thank you so much for all the kind words and blessings. They truly do help. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.